All right, everyone, welcome. Today, I have a very special guest on who I just feel absolutely blessed that she agreed to come on. So you're going to hear a story today of just pure hope and really just no bullshit, no excuses. And you know, we're very straightforward here. We tell it like it is. My patient Tammy will tell it to you like it is too. What spurred this on is when I was talking to her last week for a follow-up, a couple weeks ago for a follow-up. And I got to tell you, as we start talking, immediately in my head was people need to hear this. So, you know, God placed it on my heart. You got to get this woman on here because other people who are struggling, who are maybe making excuses in their mind as to why they can't get better, why they can't do this, why they can't change, why they can't make their own food and cook and eat a little bit better. They absolutely need to hear this story. So I want you to hold on to that 1 second. Before we dive into Tammy's story, I want to give you a very important piece of advice for the current viral situation, the pandemic, and hypothyroidism and Hashimoto. So really interesting study that I stumbled upon it was published in September 2020. So it was published a while ago, but we're just kind of seeing it right now. Analyze the relationship between thyroid conditions like hypothyroidism, Hashimoto's, and hyperthyroidism and the severity of COVID infections. It says, since it's common knowledge at this point that having health conditions like diabetes, obesity, high blood pressure put you at much higher risk for severe COVID outcomes, it's not a surprise that this particular study did in fact find a higher risk of severe COVID for people with thyroid conditions. So this study concluded that having any type of thyroid condition, either low or high, can both cause dysregulation of the innate immune system response. So that is your body's first response. That's when your body goes, hey, there's something coming in. There's something bad here. There's something that we've been exposed to. So that innate immune system response leading to an increased risk of infection and also increased severity of COVID. In addition, they concluded that people with thyroid conditions have higher levels of pro-inflammatory cytokines, which can lead to more severe COVID outcomes. So that cytokine response, that inflammatory response that happens when any patient contracts COVID, that there is this, it's like a cascade of inflammatory Pac-Man, little cytokines. And we're seeing with this study shows it, and we are seeing it too. I mean, we're definitely seeing it in private practice. I've discussed with my nurse practitioner. She's seeing increased hypothyroid symptoms post-COVID. We're seeing people's adrenals and thyroid glands just tank after they have COVID. We definitely see TSH values increase post-COVID. So we're really seeing right now that hypothyroid and hyper and hypothyroid are comorbidities and risk factors for COVID. So if it was a question before, it's not now. We've known this since September 2020 when this was released. I apologize for just getting this to you now, but it was just brought to my attention now. So what I did was I put, again, a free downloadable guide in the description, in the show notes, and you can click on that and at least get started on those core supplements that we know improve your resistance, improve your immune system, that build that fortress, so to speak, in your body to support that innate immune system. Simple things like zinc, like vitamin D, like vitamin C, like melatonin. I mean, these are the core supplements that we know support a person's immune system and make them more resilient if they do catch it, and also make them more, we'll say, protected against catching it. So I wanted to throw that out there because that was brought to my attention today. So now on to Tammy's story of hope. I want you all to listen up, please, because I promise you this is going to give you just a new perspective on your life. You know what? Sometimes I'm a firm believer that sometimes we need a different perspective placed on us when we start to get into that self-defeating, self-pity mode. And we just need kind of slapped around a little bit and shown a different way of looking at things and a different way of looking at life to change our outlook on our reality. Because really, I mean, our reality is our perception of our world. And then that becomes our own reality. So Tammy's going to show you and tell you that definitely what is actually going on does not have to defeat you. So Tammy, just to kind of give you a brief background, yes, she has you have Hashimoto's, Tammy?
Yep.
Hashimoto's. So she lost a son. I'll let her go into the details of that just briefly, however she wants to go into that. And her other son is in prison for life over drugs. She's taking care of both of her parents, dealing with Hashimoto's. She still prepares her food. She looks up recipes. She is a true overcomer of Hashimoto's. She has lost 30 pounds. Her energy is better. And really, we're going to go into this with all of you, but Tammy, your thing that you said to me, the one point that you said to me last week, well, 2 points. Stress is going to be there, but you have to minimize it. And 1 day a week, you do such good self-care. You do nothing except take a walk if you want to. You turn your phone off, you shut the world out. There's no bills, no anything. And I think that is an example of self-care. So I wanted to touch on those points, but now I want you to speak. And please tell everybody your story, your tragic loss, how you're dealing with it. And we're just going to kind of talk here and let this conversation flow.
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you for having me on. I'm more than happy to tell my story. And life's hard. It's tough. And I could be having a pity party for myself the rest of my life. I've chosen not to, but I'll start telling you my story. I'm 62 years old, and I lost our son 18 years ago. He was 21, our oldest son. And it was horrific going through the grief process, and it took like me 4 years to get well. And I didn't think I was going to make it, quite frankly, and neither did my husband. And but I'm here. I made it through it, and I credit a lot of that. I went to Compassionate Friends. That's just for a group that for people that have lost their children. And little did I know that my second son, to deal with his brother, he went to drugs, heroin. It was a real battle for 13 years with him. He'd go off and on heroin, and he had 2 little girls, and I helped raise them, plus worked a full-time job. And little did I know I was wearing myself out, and it added to my Hashimoto's, and I didn't know I had it till 7-8 years ago. Mm-hmm. And he robbed a store, committed a really bad crime, and he ended up in prison for life. And here we go again. I had to go through that and grieve that. It took 2-3 years to get better there. Mm-hmm. And just all this heartache. And now my parents are elderly. I go down there as much as I can, me and my husband, and help. And I still work part-time a little bit, a couple hours a day. And how I found out I had Hashimoto's, I was eating a piece of chicken, and luckily my husband was home, and it got caught in my throat, and I couldn't get it out. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't talk, and I kept, just taking my hand and going like this. My face was all red, and my husband knew I was choking to death. I was getting ready to pass out, and he did the Heimlich maneuver and got it out, or I wouldn't have been speaking to you today. Mm-hmm. So I went to the doctor. My throat, I had problems and all that, and they said, well, you have thyroid nodules. Sent me to Pittsburgh. They did a biopsy. I didn't have cancer, and they just let me go home. And I said, I got to have more. So I went to another doctor, and they said, well, you have Hashimoto's. And I had no idea what Hashimoto's was. I do now.
Right.
And so, they put me on different thyroid meds, T4 didn't work for me. It just didn't work at all.
Rarely
And,
does. Yeah.
some people may do well on it. I didn't. And so I was on my thyroid medicine, and I got really sick. And here I had candida, I had gut dysbiosis, and I had Epstein-Barr. And I lost 40 pounds, and I thought I was going to die. So I went to 3 other doctors, and they didn't know what was wrong with me. And they knew it was candida, but they didn't treat it well. Let's put it that way. And I knew nothing about it. So I was in another battle.
Yeah.
And I went to a functional medical doctor, which cost me lots of money that I didn't really have. I had to borrow it. And with diet and what he told me to do, I beat it. It took me a couple years, but I got better. But and I'm here talking to you because I went to him. I don't believe I would be sitting here talking to you if I didn't go to him. And they said a lot of times this comes along with Hashimoto's and Epstein-Barr virus and
Right.
And you really have to make up your mind, and you want to tell yourself, I'm a victor, I'm not a victim. I started saying positive sayings to myself. And I thought, do I want to live for 25 more years in 80 to 90% healthy, or do I want to stay back here where I'm at? And I know I've been through hard things. I can sit back here and feel sorry for myself the rest of my life, or I can make up my mind to get out of bed every day, get up and go on and do the best I can in life. And
Exactly.
I made up my mind. I was going to live. I was going to go on. And I make a lot of my own food. I make my own bone broth. Chicken wings are really great. I put them in a crock pot overnight, and I leave strain it all, and I put it in the refrigerator. The fat comes to the top, and it's just like gelatin.
Oh, there you go. And that's a big thing, Tammy. I mean, you're talking about it like, oh yeah, I make my own bone broth, not a big deal. But I mean, I don't even have the time to make bone broth. I would like to, but I just end up buying it in the little boxes because I don't have the time. But you are finding the time. So we'll start actually in the present, and we'll work our way back to the loss of your first son, which is, I mean, in and of itself, that would cause some people to go into the fetal position and never take care of themselves again. And I mean, that's a tragic loss, but you've overcome that. You've overcome a second loss. Basically, like you said, you were grieving your son going to prison, a second loss.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I have multiple questions for you. First of all, how do you prioritize the time to take care of yourself, to make your food, to make bone broth, to pre-make meals because you're still working part-time? How do you find that time and the drive to do so?
Well, I would rather have a good quality of life than not. That's important to me. I like to take walks. I like to be out in the sun. I like to be outside. We have a couple dogs, that we love. They're part of our family. And I like to be around, see my granddaughters get married and go to college. And that gives me drive there. And is it easy? No. And I made up my mind. I shut my cell phone off at night. I don't answer calls after 9, 8:30 or 9. I turn it back on when I get up in the morning. Usually on Sundays, except for yesterday, it was our birthday. I didn't cook. We did go out to a nice restaurant and took my granddaughters. And I just think it's important. I take one day a week, which is usually Sunday, and I do nothing, maybe take a walk or cook a couple meals to do me 3 or 4 days. I just plain rest and kind of shut the rest of the world out. And I know I feel sorry. I feel for mothers that have children at home and they work. And I know it's hard, it is. And, but you just have to say, you just have to, if you have a husband that'll help you for an hour, take some time out, an hour a day or every other day. Just
Mhm.
do something for you. Take a walk, turn your cell phone off, just zone out, do
Right.
some yoga, take a bubble bath, take a walk with a friend, just do something you love. If it's sitting down doing word puzzles, you just have to have that time for yourself. And,
Very
and,
well.
that's what I did. I make it a priority. I was so sick that I just said, no, something's got to go. And I've did it, and I pretty much stick to it. I fall off the wagon once in a while, I'm not perfect, and I don't, and nobody is,
No.
just start out slow, and if you can get 2 hours a week, like Sunday and Wednesday, just do something for yourself.
Yeah. So if you don't have a full day, like you said, and thank you for mentioning that, because there are people listening that they have small children, they work, they can't even imagine taking a full day for themselves, but it doesn't have to be. It can be an hour, it can be a bubble bath, it can be a walk, it can be a half-hour yoga class. It can just be that time that you block out that is for you. And I don't know if you knew that you were doing this or not, Tammy, but in doing that and taking that time, be it 5 minutes or a full day, you're actually down regulating your cortisol. So that stress response that we get, that I guarantee, I mean, your stress levels were so high that
Oh yeah.
chances are, if we were to have tested your cortisol levels at that time, you would have been flatlined. You would have been full adrenal fatigue, adrenal exhaustion, like done. And in taking that time for yourself, you're actually nurturing your adrenal glands. You're decreasing inflammation. You're helping your cortisol levels to get back to normal. And it may take a while. And with some people, we need supplementation or whatnot. But it just doing that one little act is actually beyond beneficial for your health, for your thyroid, for your Hashimoto's.
Yeah, I agree, and it's helped me tremendously. And I think everybody should learn the word no and learn to say it to people,
That's
and
good.
not feel bad about it, say, no, I can't take on anything else. And just, don't feel bad about saying the word no, because your health comes first. And if you don't have your health, you can't help anybody else,
That's
and
so true. So
so,
true. We're in a world of overcommitting. We
yes.
say yes to everything. And I know, I guarantee you there are moms listening that are taking their kids to hockey and soccer and football and baseball and working and cooking dinner and folding the laundry. And it's just, it's yes to too many things. That's what
Right,
it is.
right.
It's yes to way, way, way too many things. So Tammy, I want to circle back to, I mean, all of the stress that you had. And like you said, yes, you did take time to grieve. We know that stress can kind of turn on that switch of Hashimoto's. So thinking back, did you have any symptoms prior to the loss of your son? Or were you pretty much healthy, and then going through that grief period is basically when all of the symptoms came crashing down on you?
I believe I had Hashimoto's before that, because my sister has Graves' disease.
Mhm.
And looking back on it all, um, constipation, dry skin, dry hair, and my memory started to really get bad, and my son and my husband would say, just spit it out, and
Mhm.
of course they didn't know what was wrong, and neither did I. And it was Hashimoto's.
Right.
So, you think you have Alzheimer's and you don't, it's your thyroid doing it. And once you have it checked and you get on the right meds and right diet and, get on the road to healing and, you know, uh, get rid of the stress as much as you can. You can't get rid of it all and
Mhm.
make life changes. You'll find out that a lot comes back. Your
Yeah.
memory's gone.
Memory, and then yeah, getting on the right thyroid med, like you said, just optimizing it. T4 only normally does not work for people pretty much at
No.
all. So there's that. And then would you say, and I'm kind of prompting you here because I know the answer, but would you say that it was a combination of, yes, get on the right thyroid med, but also you need to do the things for yourself. You need to eat better. You need to take out the gluten. You need to sleep. You need to de-stress. So, and not make excuses as to why you can't do these things, because so many of us do make excuses. We'll find one after the other and just think it's, quote unquote, too hard. So would you agree that it was a combination of lifestyle changes and the medication that really brought you to this point of feeling better?
Oh, definitely. It has to be lifestyle changes. That's a definite, as much as you can. And, the medicine, getting it regulated properly and on the right medicine. And, the stress, diet's key. Gluten. Some people have to get rid of the milk. I have to be careful of milk and, eggs, and I love eggs. Now, I
Yeah.
don't,
Some people are
it,
sensitive to eggs, some aren't. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, me, the nightshades, tomatoes, potatoes, and peppers. And it was hard. I thought I was going to go out of my mind. It kind of overwhelmed me.
Yeah.
And I say to people, don't let it overwhelm you. If you just remove gluten, do one thing at a time, work on that, and then go to milk if it's milk, you know, and move on to the other ones,
Baby steps. Yeah. Little changes.
Yep.
Yep, definitely. Definitely. That's actually a really great tip for people, because I think people do get overwhelmed and they're trying to make all of these changes at one time. And I just had this conversation with a patient last week. Just take one thing. Like if you just remove sugar, just
Yeah.
just remove sugar, take it out of your coffee, get rid of the coffee mate creamer with the added sugar in it, just remove sugar. And that's one baby step to do.
Yeah.
You just break it down. You break it down into baby steps, and then it becomes way more doable. And you don't have to feel overwhelmed with making all these changes and the pressures of life on top of you.
Right. Sugar's a hard one because it's in everything, but,
Mhm.
get away from it as much as you can, and chocolate's a hard one for me because I was a chocoholic. I
Yeah,
mean, I love chocolate.
I did too. We can still do dark chocolate though. It's a little bit
Yeah.
of a taste bud change, but we can still do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so how did you keep yourself from making excuses? You could easily have said, listen, I'm still grieving. I'm still I don't have time to do this. I don't have, I mean, how do you not make excuses?
How do I not? Well,
Yeah.
I kind of made up my mind. I took a look in the mirror one time. I just, at my life and what had happened. And I read some good books, and, there's a counselor that lives down the street from me.
Mm-hmm. That's helpful.
She's a really nice lady, just pretty down to earth. And uh I went to see her and we were talking one time, and a nice lady. And I thought, do I really? And I'm don't get me wrong, I'm all for counseling, and if you need it, but I don't want to be there for the next 5 years of my life. And I knew that my son was gone and he's not coming back, and I still cry at times, which is normal, like at
Yeah.
Christmas time
Yeah.
or birthdays.
Sure.
And my other son's where he's at, and I know he's probably not going to get out. And I just made up my mind. I have my husband left, and I have two beautiful granddaughters left,
Mhm.
and I have friends and family, and I can sit around and be depressed the rest of my life, or I can get up and enjoy what life I have left.
Mhm.
And I made a choice to get up and enjoy life. And it's a choice, and it's hard. Life's hard, like I said. It's
It is.
not easy. And we're all going to face, things in life that we thought would never happen to us. And you have to go through it. You have to deal with it, and then move on with your life. And that's what I've chose to do. And it's not easy. It hurts me when I see other people with their children, and they're out with them, and they have their adult children. They come see them, and that I don't have mine, and I've just accepted it. It hurts me,
Yeah.
but I'm not going to sit there in deep dark depression and cry the rest of my life. I'm not going to do it. And
Mhm.
and my faith has gotten me through. And like I say, exercise, some gentle kind of exercise, stretching, yoga, tai chi, walking, sunshine, get a pet, a dog. If you don't
Yeah.
have any kids or a husband, get something that, a cat, a dog.
Yeah, definitely. Oh no, hey, that's those are studies. Studies show that pets lower your blood pressure and help with de-stressing. So, yeah, no, absolutely. And I think what you said too about it being a choice. You're
Yeah.
right. You were at a crossroads where you had a choice. You could
Yep.
either continue to grieve, let the Hashimoto's run its course, let everything get worse,
Yep.
succumb to all the symptoms that you had, and play the woe's me card and play the self-pity card. And you know what? Nobody would judge you if you did. They would
No.
say, you know what, Tammy, you go crawl in a fetal position and here's a bottle of wine. Have at it and a cake, I mean, nobody would judge you if you did, but you didn't. And that's my point of bringing you on is how many of us are making stupid excuses out there. Well, I just don't have the time. Yes, you do. Yes, you do have the time. You do have the ability to make that choice to not be in self-pity mode. You have that ability to cook food instead of going through the drive-through. Yes, you do have the time and choices to make. If you did it, everybody can do it. Because your story, I've never heard of anybody being slammed with as much stress as you have.
Yeah, it's been tough. Um, and like I said, I met people in compassionate friends. They've lost two children, and they had five children and lost two children. And one lady lost her husband one month, and she had already lost a son, and
Mm.
then she lost her daughter the next month after the husband.
Yeah.
And I've seen all different kinds of scenarios, and I and they got up and they went on with their lives too. Not that you shouldn't grieve and feel bad for a couple of years. You're going to, and
Absolutely.
I didn't take any medicine, antidepressants or anything. And I knew the grief process because I went to compassionate friends, and there's lots of people out there, just like us. There's Hashimoto's groups, and then yeah, you've been very helpful to me, and I appreciate it. God bless you.
Oh,
Blessings to you, Amie, and the many people that you help and point in the right direction. And you got to do research on your own. We have so much. You can get on the internet on your cell phone, and there's loads of real easy autoimmune recipes, paleo recipes. Print them off. I have folders full of them, yellow folders. I have desserts. I have main meals. I have meats. I have salads. And I grouped them all. And I have off about 30 in each folder. They're not boring. There's some that are just 5 ingredients. If I can do it, Anybody can do it.
Anybody can do it. Yeah, it's that easy. Just pick the easy recipes. Don't pick
Yep.
a recipe that's 20 ingredients long. Pick one that has 5 ingredients. In fact, I think you can even Google like 5 ingredient paleo recipes.
Yep.
And boom, there you go. So
But
there's just no excuse. And I know so many people are thinking of you as an inspiration right now just from sharing your story. And it's so appreciated because, like I said in the very beginning, it's going to hit home. It's going to change people's perspective.
right, right.
It really is. So, and grief in of itself can cause a flare. So did you have a worsening of symptoms when your second son went through what he did with the legal system? And I mean, that had to have been a drawn out, just painful couple of years going through all that. Between his heroin use and then just the whole legal process that he had to go through and you went through with him. So did you notice that you got way worse at that time?
Yeah, I was sitting down one night. My husband had went away, and I was sitting down, and I just happened to flip on a TV, and the news was on, and here they were taking him out in a suit, and it was on the news, and I just sit down, and I was just besides myself, and I went to work one day, and I went in and I flipped a newspaper over, and his picture was in the newspaper right there, and it was tough. And I remember taking my hands at work and putting them on my head, and I was crying. And this one girl was looking at me, and I said, "I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna get through this. I'm gonna make it," And this was in the very beginning, and I was just crying, and I got my composure back, and I just got up and I went on, and I got up every day and I went to work, and it was hard. And I had this great boss. He was the owner where I work, and he came in and he sat down, and I went out to him, and I said, if you want me to leave, I'll leave. I said, I told him what my son did. I said, Bill, I'll leave. And he says, "Oh no, Tammy, we don't want you to leave." And I remember him giving me a hug. And he come in the lunchroom and he gave me this most compassionate talk. He was the best guy. He says, "Tammy, mothers really take it hard when their children do things," and he just went on and just had such nice things to say to me. And I said, if people start coming up to me at work and doing things to me, I said, I can't take it. And I can honestly tell you, he must have had a talk with everybody, and not one person said a word to me. I know they talked, but nobody said anything to me. And I went on with my work as usual. And that was a blessing right there. I couldn't have asked for a better situation, even though it was hard every day to get up and go to work. I mean, I was blessed, and I hold him in high esteem to this day, you know.
And many people wouldn't have been able to see that the blessing in that type of darkness, in that kind of in that time of darkness. Many people would not be able to see any kind of light whatsoever, but you were able to see his understanding as a true blessing.
Yeah, yeah. He had compassion, and I think that's what we're lacking a lot in our society, and that, compassionate towards others,
Mm-hmm.
and but then there comes that time where you just have to pull out of it and get on with life. And because like I said, we're all going to go through hurtful things in life, whether people say cruel things to us or whatever. And maybe you need a job change, maybe you need to move, and you can't be afraid to make changes in your life. I know for years I was afraid to make changes, and there's nothing wrong with change. If you need to do it and you can do it, do it.
Yep. Yep. Don't stay in a position that's going to drag you down even further. I mean, there's certain things that you can change and certain things that you can. If you can change them and it's going to make your life better, then take that leap. Take the leap of faith. Take the risk if you can. And one thing
Right.
that you said earlier, Tammy, I want to circle back to and repeat because I think it's very pertinent. And I don't know if everybody heard it to a T, is that you are going to go through things in life that you never expected to go through. We all expect to have, job stress, money stress, relational stress, fight with your spouse,
Right.
fight with your partner, kids acting up. That's all just kind of expected, like woe's me stress. But I believe your statement, and you are going to go through stress that you never expected to go through ever. If someone were to tell you at the age of 20 that down the road, this is what you're going to go through, A, B, C, you'd be like, you're crazy. There's no way. There's no chance. I'm going to do everything to prevent that. No way in hell am I letting that happen. Doesn't matter. Sometimes it's not a let. Sometimes it just happens. Yeah.
Well, luckily we can't see into our future, and thank God we can't, because it would scare half of us to death. And
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah. We just call it quits. We'd be done. I'm tapping out. That's it.
I would have never married. I would have never had any children. Who knows?
Yeah.
But we, these things happen, accidents happen, and we may lose a spouse, a child, like I did, a parent, be in a tragic accident, hopefully none of us will be, but I mean, it's part of life, and I don't like it, to be quite frankly with you,
No.
Frank, but
No.
it happens, and I had to deal with it, and I did the best that I could, and I can honestly say I'm content. I have my moments, ask
Yep.
my husband.
Yep. That's fine. You're allowed. You're absolutely allowed to.
But the thing of it is, you don't want to stay there. You don't want to stay stuck there, because if you stay stuck there, that's not a good place to be. You want to move on. Like I said, I grieved for 4 years, and because he committed suicide, that compounded it. And it took me 4 years to go through the grief process. It's a process. And I could feel my mind releasing, and as I went through the process and that. And I have a good, I kind of knew when our other son got into trouble, I had some idea, and it wasn't easy either. It was hard in a different way. And I had to forgive him,
Yeah.
Forgiveness is a hard thing. But it doesn't make them right if you forgive them. It just frees you, and that sounds odd, but if you can forgive somebody, even though they've hurt you, and what they did wasn't right, we understand that, but it frees you. It frees you up to move on with your life in freedom. It doesn't excuse what they did, and it doesn't make them right. It frees you to live a healthier life. And sometimes you'll see them walking down the street, and you kind of grate your teeth. But it's true,
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right, because carrying around a burden of hatred and resentment is pretty heavy. It's pretty heavy on your shoulders to carry around all the time. And truth is, their lives aren't being affected by your hatred and resentment. So yeah, no, that's a very good point. Very good point on forgiveness. And I hate to say that what you went through had purpose, because no one would say that anyone should go through what you went through to have any kind of purpose or message in the world. But just you even coming on here, you are giving people hope that you have no idea. And this message is, I mean, this is going to be listened to thousands of times over and over and over again. So your message will continue to permeate people from this day on. And I want you to know that, I mean, I appreciate it more than words can say, because, and I know the listeners appreciate it more than they can say, because it's truly just a a unique story, a painful story.
Yeah.
You were just open, and you just gave us all a great message and just a different perspective. Like I said in the beginning, just a different perspective, a different set of glasses to put on to look at our own lives and to see the things that we're dealing with and say, I think I can deal with this, because if Tammy did, then I certainly can.
Well, they can. And like I said, if I can do it, they can do it. And we all have our story to tell. And like I say, as long as we don't get stuck in it, we move on. And healing takes time. And uh, like I say, and I can't say it anymore. If I can do it, you can do it.
Yeah,
And I
no.
encourage each one, you know.
Definitely. I agree 100%, 100%. And thank you for repeating that. I mean, I think everyone needs to hear it. And I thank you for your time. And Tammy, before you go, I just want to read you a couple things, just some of the comments people are making. Thank you, Tammy. You're amazing and a real inspiration for the rest of us. Great advice. People are saying that you are amazing, because it's even harder as we get older. We can get set in our ways, and change is hard.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. I mean, another comment is, like you said, you learn and choose to live plus enjoy.
Right.
Everybody can do it. A very strong and resilient lady, a true inspiration. Elaine says we have to seek out joy. Even though there is great pain, the world can be a wonderful place.
Yeah.
I mean, just the comments are amazing. Debbie says, God bless you, Tammy. I will add you to my prayers and hopes that you will continue to persevere. You are an inspiration to us all. I mean, the comments are, thank you, Tammy, for sharing your story. Thank you for your time and outpouring of wisdom. So I just wanted to read those off to you, because I mean, it's so appreciated, you being on here. And I just hope you see just a glimmer. I mean, this is just a glimmer of everyone that will hear this, and that you will have affected and inspired. So that's why I wanted to bring you on. So no joke. I mean, you had a message, and I heard it when we talked a couple of weeks ago. I was like, this, just what you're saying to me, just in a natural flow conversation, this needs to come out and be given to the world as a gift.
Well, like I say, I appreciate you having me on. I never really told my story this much, and that's the word. You have to persevere, and go on, and find people that'll build you up, not drag you down. That includes in your own family. Go find those people that are going to build you up and help you, and talk to Amie. She's great. I love you, Amie, and I thank you for having me on, and I appreciate it. And thank you, all you people that are making the comments. I appreciate it, and blessings to you all.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Tammy. And thank you, everyone, for listening. And I would say, hey, share this with anybody that you know that needs just a little bit of a boost or a different perspective on their own life. It's not, if you share it, you're not saying, hey, buddy, get out of your self-pity mode. You're just saying, hey, here's some hope. Here's some inspiration. Here's a way to persevere. Listen to this woman's story, because if you think you got it hard and you think you can't make it, I want you to hear how she made it. So just, it's just those little nudges of hope and nudges of support. So share this with people that you know that need it. And again, thank you all for listening. I greatly appreciate it.
Thanks. Bye.